What's up, everybody, and welcome to another Seven Figure Photographer Live. It's Monday, as always. Dylan, you want to come be on the live today? We have no Mia today. It is just me. Well, that sounded like no me today, but no Mia today. Just me talking. So if you have questions, feel free to ask them. I'll do my best to answer them just on the live. Normally, she's here to respond via keyboard. She's a keyboard warrior. But yeah, no Mia today. And today we are going to talk about something that's been on my mind a lot. Obviously, the title of today's live is for best results, train your competition. And we're going to jump into that, talk about it a little bit more. And I'm excited. Like, I have some really good thoughts for you on it. And, you know, I guess just some input on I guess my input on it. Tasha, welcome. Thanks for being here. It has been forever. I see you got everything done with your new house, and that's exciting. So before we get started, let's go ahead and jump to our intro, and here we go. What's up, guys? For those of you who don't know me, my name is Sam Marvin, and I have been in the photography industry for 25 plus years. While I love being a creative, business is my passion, and elevating the industry of photography is my focus. I created the Seven Figure Photographer to share my journey to seven figures and to help others find their way too.
That's amazing.
All right, so for those of you who haven't commented or said hi, told us where you're from, or just said hi so we know you're here, please make sure to do that in the comments. Today I want to talk about something that's, like I said, has been on my mind a lot. This is a little bit different. Normally I have Mia here to like kind of keep me a little bit on point, but I guess we're just gonna have to rely on Dylan over there. Laquita, welcome. I'm sad I didn't get to see you this week up in Baker City. But yeah, we missed out on getting to connect. Annie, welcome. So some of the things, and a lot of what I want to talk about, we had an event this weekend in Baker City, Oregon, which is about 2 hours from where I live. It was for our local affiliate chapter of PPA, or Professional Photographers of Idaho. Unfortunately, I was kind of tied up with some things. My son had a football game. He actually got to play in his first football game for like 60 seconds. I didn't want to miss. I didn't want to go to this event and miss the first time he got to play in his football game. He did well. Obviously, he didn't have a chance to do a whole lot. The coach threw him in the last 60 seconds of the game. I got some pictures of him, though. It was actually funny because I had been shooting the whole game. We were getting destroyed. I kind of was like, you know what? This is dumb. I'm not even going to shoot the last minute of the game because it's like I was there to get other kids' pictures too. But I literally took my monopod and I squashed it down and put it over my shoulder, and I turned around and started to head out of the stadium, if you will. And I heard some kid yell, "Go Ryland," and I was like, wait, what? And so I look out there and my kid's on the field. It was fun. It was interesting. So I was really glad that I was there to see that. And unfortunately, because of that, I wasn't able to make it to the event on time. One of the speakers got sick, and so I had to fill in for him Saturday morning. And we just kind of did a Q&A and talked about some business stuff. But in all this, there's a lot of things that kind of came to me and that I was thinking about it. Now, this comes from... Well, I'm not even going to explain where it comes from because I don't. Anyway, a little backstory to it. Years ago, I was at Imaging USA. We were listening to Phil Knight speak. Phil Knight, for those of you who don't know who he is, he's an author. He wrote the book, if I can think of the name of it, All the Right Things to Say or something like that for photographers. Really a great book. Like, you can literally read it in an afternoon or like an hour. There's not a lot to it. It's just some real brain thinkers. It'll really kind of make you think about what you're like, the way you respond to people, the way you talk to people. Now, the whole point here, when I was in his talk, I'm sitting there right beside one of my big competitors here in my local market. And as he's talking and he's explaining these things, I'm thinking, I cannot believe, like, what can I do to distract my competitor next to me so that they don't hear the same things that I'm hearing? Now, um, that's kind of the basis for all this. And I learned something that day that was so powerful. But also, I've learned over time that a lot of people have a tendency to have that the what's the opposite of abundance mindset? I'm an abundance person, so I never think of scarcity mindset. That's what it is. Um, oh, Tim, what's up, party people? Welcome, Tim. So that scarcity mindset that a lot of people have, that I don't want to be learning next to the people that are my potential competitors. I don't want to teach my competitors what I know. I don't want to share what I know with people. Now, my wife is on here, and interestingly enough, when I first started 7FP, which was about 3 years ago, which blows my mind, 3 or 4 years ago, I can't even remember. When I first started 7FP, she was really stressed out about me sharing what I know about this business. It used to really frustrate her when I would talk to other photographers and I would share everything I knew. Afterwards, she'd be like, honey, I don't think you should share everything. I don't think you should talk about those things. But one of the most powerful things I ever did was start to share and start to help educate people about the things that I'd learned. Nobody gave me a book about the hard knocks of this business. Nobody said anything. In fact, the one thing that kind of drove me the most in my life was another photographer back in 1998 when I started this business said, you'll never be remembered being a photographer. And that was something to me. I was like, okay, that's the one thing I am absolutely sure I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that people remember me. Now, I'm not talking about other photographers. I'm talking about my clients. But at the same time, I struggled because nobody wanted to train their competition, and they had that scarcity mindset that they didn't want to share what they knew for the concern that maybe I would take them out. Now, I think that we can all agree that if for any reason we fail or get taken out, it's our own fault. I've always been of the mindset that if I share everything I know with anybody, for them to accomplish what I've been able to accomplish, they would have to work incredibly hard, spend a lot of money, and put in a ton of hours. Now, if they're willing to do that, absolutely, I give them props. If they're not willing to do that, which most people are, I'll be the first to tell you, I learn stuff from other photographers all the time that is mind-blowing, absolutely mind-blowing, and I still never do anything with it. So, back to the story of my competitor that was sitting right beside me. Shortly after that speech or that talk that we heard from Phil Knight, we went to lunch. And my competitor who was there went with us, as well as another person from our local area. And we sat around lunch and we talked about the things that we got from that talk by Phil Knight. And guys, I was absolutely blown away as I sat there and listened to the things that they got from it, because I was thinking that they were all going to regurgitate the things that I had learned from that talk. But nobody even said anything about it. And so, of course, I stepped up and I shared what I got from it, and everybody was like, oh, I never really thought of it that way. So my point in all this and sharing this is that what happens with our competitors or with other people is we're all at different places in our life. We all have different needs and expectations. And so the things that we hear from people, we learn differently from. This year we went to Imaging USA, and I wish I could think of his name. I think it was like the final keynote closing speaker. Anybody that was there, please speak up, because He was everything. His whole brand was bright green. He was super high energy. And after coming out of there, I was on cloud nine. I had just been fed the things that I needed to hear, and I was ready to just get out there and work hard. But yet, I spoke to multiple other people that I expected. In fact, Tim was one of them, I think. Tim, I believe you were in that class with me, and Tim was like, I don't know, that was like gooky. It wasn't worth it, or if I remember correctly, Tim didn't like it. But there's multiple other photographers that were there in that class, and yeah, see, sure was, and hadn't gotten what I'd gotten from it. So the reason I'm telling you all of this is because ultimately, people are only going to absorb the stuff that they're ready for. So even if I sat down with my competitor today and I taught them literally every secret, every industry, trade idea, everything I know, it doesn't mean that they're even ready for those things. It doesn't mean that they're going to absorb those things. But the one thing that I have learned about doing these things or sharing with other people is that I learn more about myself, and I learn more about those trades in our industry. I also learn like the challenges that other people face, and it helps me to understand how to deal with it, or to compare how I dealt with things. So why would you train your competition? And I'm not really legitimately saying go out and train your competition, but it's not a terrible thing to help out. Tonight, there's another photographer who is newer to the industry going out to shoot, and I'm going to go be the bag boy or carry her bag for her and just watch what she does and see how she does and see if there's anything I can do to help her out. Now, for me, some of what that is and some of that opportunity for me is to see what it's like to be, what's the word? Like when you're young and just like, excited. I guess excited. Like for me, when I go out on shoots, it's like, I'm just going through the motions. There's not the excitement. I don't have the camera on my hip all the time wanting to take pictures. I don't have the passion. I think that's what it is. The passion that young people and new to the industry people that they have is just unparalleled. And because I've been doing it for so long, I wouldn't say I've lost the passion. The passion isn't as much there for me. And so some of that opportunity going out and teaching somebody else is really an opportunity to be inspired by the passion of young people or new people. I don't even want to call myself old. That's not what I'm trying to do. No, I don't need veteran. That sounds old too. Come on, Dylan, come on. That was hurtful. So my point is that don't neglect your opportunity to learn or to teach other people because you're afraid that you're learning the same things or that they're learning the same things that you're learning. Look at it as an opportunity to keep up with what is going on, what's changing. Now, I know for a lot of us who have been in the industry for a long time, we look at a lot of people that speak and think, you know what? And I do this too. I'm a culprit of this. They got nothing that I need to learn, nothing for me to learn. Yet sometimes some of those simple things are so powerful that just kind of help bring us back into reality a little bit in where we're at. I know for me, like I said, I've been doing it for long enough that it's kind of like just going through the motions. And I think that there's a lot of things that become forgotten. I know for me, being a high school photographer, I don't know why I was going to say high school sports photographer, because I've been doing a lot of it lately. For me, being a senior portrait photographer, the thing that I'm noticing right now is that I'm struggling to keep kind of on their level. Like I'm missing that aspect of it. Like I don't necessarily understand teenagers the way I used to. And I think it's kind of like that whole parent thing. Like we've all gone through the same things our kids are going through. We understand it. We've been there. We've done that. But things are different now than they were. Things are different this year than they were last year, and it's crazy the difference. But don't ever neglect, don't ever miss out on an opportunity to learn because you're afraid that your competitors will be there, or you don't want them to learn the same things that you're doing. Because guess what? Your competitors, the people that are young and new to this industry or new, they have passion and they're there to learn. And if they're there learning things and you're not because you're afraid or because it's not good enough for you, you're missing out for yourself. And, some of it is I actually have a friend local who's not really she's not really into the industry anymore. She's doing a little bit of it. But I used to keep real good tabs on what she was doing. She used to keep really good tabs on what I was doing. And there was a lot of value, a lot of education in that, like seeing how things would work. Now, another thing that's kind of crazy, if you can get past the whole concept of having competitors, having people that do what you do in your market, you can also kind of split test things. You can work with another photographer and say, hey, what do you think of this? And they might be doing something different, but if you take the opportunity to share that information with each other, sometimes you can really see the difference. One thing that I do that's different than one of my competitors here, and when I was in my class the other day, he was in there and we were talking, people were asking questions, and one of my policy, how I do things, especially with money is not the first thing I talk about. Money is not, when clients come through the door, I'm not, here's a price list. If you've ever gone to a Louis Vuitton store or any store for that matter, I don't care what store it is. When you walk into Walmart, nobody hands you a price list for all the products, right? The prices are clearly marked. But you go somewhere like Louis Vuitton. Louis Vuitton doesn't even have the prices marked. You have to ask the salesman. And some of those things, that's the point. Money is not necessarily the first thing anybody's going to talk about. And typically their target market is affluent people. And so they're not necessarily like the people that ask how much it costs. Those are maybe not even necessarily, they're people like me that are going in that can't necessarily afford it, that are just wanting to know, holy crap, how much is that purse? And why does my wife want it so bad? But his way of doing things is different. Neither of our he actually, one of the things he was saying is that they qualify their clients by talking about money, almost overdoing it. That would be in my opinion. But kind of the way he said it was that almost like beating a dead horse, talking about money, so that a client, so they know that that person understands they're going to spend a lot of money. Now, I see it very differently, but are either of us wrong? And can it be done both ways? There's no one way to do this business. There are so many different ways to be successful in this business, and there's nothing wrong with finding what works and maximizing that capability. And then share what you know with people under you, because here's the one best thing about training your competition. Tasha says the same. I don't understand teens like I used to. It really is. It's scary. It's kind of hard. Like, you almost want to have teenagers that are close to it working for you so that they can kind of keep you up to date on what's going on with things. I used to have a lot of my assistants and people that I worked with, like my video guy was younger. Yeah, you're an old fart. And so some of those things like gave me that connection to the younger people. But now I have a teenage son. And so I learn a little bit from him. But again, I'm out of touch. But back to the concept of what training your competition really does for you and your business. Like I said, it's something that is going to help you educate you. It's something that's going to help you learn by teaching, which is a really powerful thing. But most importantly, it's going to elevate the floor of the industry. When you have more people out there that are charging good money for photography, then what happens is you train consumers to expect higher cost photography, expect a better level of photography, expect better everything. Now, does that mean that there's no market for the shoot and burn photographers? Absolutely not. There is definitely a market for that. In fact, that is the biggest market available because there are more people out there that don't value photography as much, that really don't want to spend a lot on it or can't afford it. And those people are willing to spend a small amount and get the most regardless of the quality. Or regardless of the service, or regardless of if you pay your taxes, or regardless of all those things. But if you take the time to educate those people, and that's one of the reasons that I do this with Seven Figure Photography, is to educate people, to lift and to elevate the level of our industry, not just locally, but nationally, so that people understand how important and how valuable photography is. The more we can do that, the better it's going to be for us. Obviously, we went through like the digital age. Well, we're still in the digital age. Right now, I'm seeing this trend almost like a negative impact of 2020, where people are really just like, they're just, what's the word? Like almost like it went, everybody really did value it, and then all of a sudden now it's like, it's no big deal anymore. So for some reason this year, like senior pictures are less important to people. I don't know what it is. I haven't figured it out completely yet, but that's something that I'm obviously always trying to figure out. And so it's just interesting to see it all. But keep in mind, training your competition, like I said, maybe I am. Maybe go out and find somebody to work with, find somebody to help, and help educate them, help better them at what they do, and make your industry in your local area a better place. So that's pretty much all I got for you guys today. Anybody have any questions? I guess I could read through some of these messages. The mindset is so prevalent in our industry, doesn't seem nearly as bad in other industries. And that is true. One of the things, Jason, is that photography is such a low cost entry business. Like, I know that, like, we understand how much and how expensive all the equipment is. Yes, social media is switching to video priority, and it has changed a lot. And I have suffered badly because I have not gotten on that bandwagon. It's almost like I just don't get it. Like, it doesn't compute for me, or I'm terrified of it, or whatever it is. So, but Mia's back. Doesn't seem nearly as bad in other industries. But yeah, my point, or what I was trying to originally answer or say, Jason, was that our industry is a very low barrier to entry industry. You can pick up a camera from Costco and claim to be a professional. One of the places that it starts is like the wedding market, and people, that happens. Like, I mean, I screwed up some weddings when I was young, and but then we settle into where we want to be. So it definitely is. But there's also the expectations of other industries. Like, for instance, doctors. You can't really just jump into that industry. You have to go through college and spend bazillions of dollars, and other things. Like, I mean, there's so many different industries that you could really compare to. It is a really low barrier to entry industry, and there's a lot of competition, just different levels of it. They also might not do things exactly like you do them. Yeah, and that's a good example. Like, look at Annie. I've worked with Annie for a long time, and she straight up tells me, she's like, I can't do things the way you do things. So, like, she has to do them in her own way, her own growth, her own, like, system of doing things. And despite the fact I've told her on many occasions, you got to do it this way, it doesn't have to be done the way I do it. And she's having a lot of success right now in doing things the way she's doing things. And she's kind of taken a little bit of, like, how I've suggested doing things and how other people have suggested doing things, and making them work for her. And so it's different for everybody. Tasha says, I've always said the best way to improve your skills is to start teaching it. Yes, I think that's really, really true and strong. And then really it's just time for an intern. Back to Jason, all the social media switching to video priority. I think without question, there is. And our world is completely, sadly, controlled by that. Like, I think that's one of the biggest challenges that we face right now is just that the change of social media has we connect with our with students and almost like flipped a switch and turned it off. So that's all important. Apparently, I am losing data. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and close that up. That's all we got for today. I hope it was beneficial. Hopefully this is still going through because it is saying that there's errors. But anyway, that's all I got. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. I will see you again next week. And peace out, Girl Scout.